He was amazing.
He's
so
nice.
good and so cute.
I know.
Yeah.
It is great to meet you. I literally love everything you do. You're one of those actors for me that I will literally watch. If I see your face, I'll just watch it.
Well,
yeah.
I thank you for that.
You pick great projects and you're also incredible.
I try.
Yeah.
Thank you. You and I have never met, but I feel that prior to today, but I feel that I've met you through that song of yours because of you.
Oh,
that song is so powerful, so honest, so beautiful. Your performance of it, so moving to me. If I do any work at all, any role that I play has that kind of effect on someone that that song had on me, I'll be doing okay.
Thank you.
Just perfect song. Perfect.
You are very nice.
Oh, you're good.
And always welcome here.
Yeah.
That made me feel really good. Oh my gosh. Wait, so you were raised in DC. So like when did you get into theater?
Oh, I got into theater when I was younger. I didn't start acting until I was a junior in college, but I would go to the theater when I was a kid. My first experience was a friend of my mother's, a woman that I knew as Aunt Ro, who was a public school teacher as well. And she took me to see Oliver, dinner theater. You know, Oliver. He says his name is Oliver. I mean, that was like the introduction. I was like 4 years old.
Captivated.
Yeah, and then my mom would take me to the theater. She was a lawyer. She wanted me to go to law school. She wanted me to, or even medical school, I think. But she planted the seed for acting in me early. She would take me to every New York show that would tour through Washington. So we would go to the Ford's Theater and the National Theater, and we would see everything from The Wiz to Annie to a one-man show that James Whitmore did called Give 'Em Hell Harry about Harry Truman. And we saw everything. And I kind of fell in love with it. I was enthralled by those nights. I remember as a kid, 7, 8 years old, when the curtain went down at the end of the show, I was convinced that the world of the play went on afterwards. It was out there, and I wanted to be a part of it. It was the
magic of
it was magical for me, certainly.
So you said not till junior in college. So like, wait, what took you so long? Because you're so great. What?
If I'm honest,
I'm like, what were you doing? I'm like, what?
If I'm honest, I was kind of afraid of it.
Yeah, I get that.
I would have these weird dreams, even then, even before I started acting, that I was on stage and the words just wouldn't come.
You'd choke?
I'd just freeze up. And in fact, I did a Christmas pageant. I played, when I was in like kindergarten or something like that, I played one of the 3 wise men. I ended up bringing Frankenstench.
Is that what you said?
I said Frankenstench. So I said, maybe I'll lay this down for a while. Maybe it's not my thing.
Oh my God, that's amazing. It's almost worse though when you have like 1 or 2w lines rather than many. It's so much pressure.
So much weighing on that one line.
Yes.
On that one stench.
I feel like that. You probably made everyone's night. It was like the comic relief. Well, there is this other story that I heard about when you were doing, is it Basquiat? When you, was it David Bowie?
Yeah.
What in the world? This story is incredible to me. Like, there's so much to this story. So you met him with Basquiat, right?
I did. That was a photo shoot that we did when we were promoting the film. But the first time that I met him, and he meant the world to me. And I mean, there were periods in my life where his music was a soundtrack. I mean, he was just...
He is a soundtrack.
I mean, come on. So I had the chance to paint for about 6 months before filming began. Julian Schnabel, who directed the film, allowed me access to his studio, and I would be in there painting. Sometimes there would be 20 Basquiats, real pieces of his work lined up, and I would take a bit from one and a bit from another and just try to make myself comfortable with his aesthetic and his style, and also with the act of painting.
Yeah. Had you ever painted before that?
A little bit. Not as much as I had then, as I did then. But so I'm down on my, on this canvas one day, and the door opens, and in walks David Bowie.
Sure.
Because he's going to play Andy Warhol in the movie. And he walks in, and I'm down there, and he kneels down next to me, and he says, "Do you mind if I watch?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm going to have to get used to it." Yeah. So.
But like, absolutely not, says my soul.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
But we had a laugh at that,
Yeah.
And from then on, I mean, he was just so generous and so smart and funny. And I mean, he couldn't have been cooler to me. I remember one day we were in the hair and makeup trailer. Gary Oldman was in the film as well. We're sitting there, and David walks in and he goes, "Right," he said, "You want to hear some music?" And we're like, "What?"
Like his music?
Like his music. And you're like, "Yeah, David Bowie, we'll tolerate your music here. Yeah, sure. Put in your little disc there." And so he puts in his new album that has not come out yet. And it's an album called Outside. Some of the music is featured in the film because it's kind of reminiscent of the story in some ways. And his guitarist was named Reeves Gabrels, and he plays this really abstracted, beautiful stuff. And we're listening to it, and we're like, whoa, and David's sitting there air guitaring to his own music.
What is your life?
And it was like, you know, the cool guy at school who found some obscure record somewhere and brought it in, except the cool guy was David Bowie.
That was like amazing.
It was like...
I love that story.
Yeah.
Not many people get those moments.
No,
that's incredible.
It was so wonderful. And then he went on tour with 9 Inch Nails featuring that album, and this was before our film came out. I think maybe 6 or 7 months after we'd finished filming. And not a lot of people knew that album, or they certainly didn't know it as I did. I'd been listening to it since I first heard it, and he gave me a copy. So I'm at this concert out at the Meadowlands, and I'm like, yeah, this is me and David's thing, you know? It was like he was...
You're like the only one that knows the music, and you're sitting there like, you're welcome.
Yeah, he was so wonderful. I mean, it was just such a gift to me.
Special.
Early in my career, my first lead in a film, to have David Bowie, Dennis Hopper, Chris Walken.
Once again,
Gary
you're in a
Oldman.
film with no one.
I mean, you know...
Like,
Keep an eye out for those guys. They're going to be doing some
You're
great
going to hear
stuff.
about them,
Yeah.
yes. Well, wait, speaking of great films, I'm certain, I'm not like, look, I'm going to do this because I'm a little superstitious. I'm certain you're going to be nominated for an Oscar for this. So it's American Fiction, so explain the movie. It's so, the idea of it is so good. How you play it out, how his imagination plays out. It's so incredible to explain it to people.
Oh, thank you. It's a story about a man. His name is Thelonious Monk Ellison. He writes stuff. He's a smart guy. He writes smart stuff, but nobody wants to read his stuff. So out of frustration, he decides to write what he thinks is, an urban novel for the masses. And he writes it under an assumed name, Stag R. Lee, as a joke, as a prank.
Yeah.
To, point out the hypocrisy of the publishing world. And he sends this thing off. And it blows up. It becomes his biggest selling novel. And so he's left leading this kind of weird dual life where he's got to pretend that he's this fugitive who wrote the novel. Meanwhile, his family is going through crisis, really crisis after crisis, and he's left trying to be caretaker of the entire family, but specifically of his mother. So there's this wonderful contrast between the absurdity of the perception of him and really the kind of ordinariness, the extraordinary in some ways, ordinariness, because we rarely see stories like this or a family like this of his actual life.
Yeah.
I could relate a lot and intimately to this need for this man to take care of his mother. My mom passed away about a year before I got this script, and I understood the pressures that brings all of a sudden, and I understand the sacrifices that asks of a person professionally and personally. And so I really felt very close to this character's journey. But going back to your song, but because of you, the isolation that you express in that, I mean, it's really very similar in some ways to this character's story,
Unfortunately, a lot of people relate to that message.
Feeling you can't, let anyone in, and his brother comes to him and tries to open him up a little bit. It's a really beautiful moment.
It's interesting because you say that, because actually how I write is how your character kind of does. I always have a movie playing. I always have some imagery is always present. Anytime I'm writing.
That's interesting.
And so that's the same kind of thing was happening when I was writing Because of You. So yeah, it's
That's
just
wow. Because I draw so much inspiration from musicians in my work.
That's what's so funny. People always ask me who are my favorite people that inspire me. A lot of them are actors, and I'm not
crazy.
an actor, but I have a lot of singers that I like love, obviously, that I grew up and adore and imitate quite frequently. But people don't get how it doesn't matter. It's art. So art is always inspiring art, even if it's not the same thing. You know, you can see a painting and it sparks a song or something.
Yeah. Marlon Brando once said about actors, an actor is a guy who, if you ain't talking about him, he ain't listening. so here I am talking about.
We talked about your DC childhood, but what was like your first job there?
Oh wow, my first job in DC was through a program called the Summer Youth Employment Program. Exactly.
This is a popular program.
Well, begun by Marion Barry, who was obviously was controversial in some respects, but this program provided the first jobs for thousands of kids in DC.
Yeah.
I was one of them. I had a job working in a swimming pool in Anacostia in a pretty tight neighborhood. I was working in the locker room, basically taking kids' clothes and, stuffing them while they went and had fun in the pool. I was about 14 or 15 years old. And that job ended before it was supposed to have. It did. The pool didn't make it through the entire summer. I think early August we got shut down. There was a riot that occurred. Somebody got kicked out of the pool. She didn't appreciate that. She came back with her folks, and it was on. They brought, bricks,
what a
hedge
crazy
clippers.
thing for a kid.
Thankfully, that was my day off.
Oh my God, you lucky man!
I was not there, but it was an incredible program. That program, and in fact, later I ended up working in the office of the Summer Youth Employment Program the following year, giving kids jobs, connecting them with opportunities. It was super gratifying. And like, okay, dude, sit down, take your hat off. All right, where do you want to work? Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah, great program.